Hi guys, quick update here for YouTube. It's Thursday, 12th of October 2023. Hope everyone's doing great. So we're going to start off with the stock market and then we'll have a look at Bitcoin. If you want to join the group, we're allowing signups for the next couple of days or so, but probably best if you watch the video first to get my thoughts and then decide from there. So let's start off with the ES and the stock market first of all. So we've been calling for a Q4 rally. Seems a little bit too obvious or a little bit too priced in right now. I have my suspicions on this kind of move here. Is 1, 2. Was that a green day there on the SPY? Yes. Was that green? Yes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Very, very rare to get 6 up days in a row. We've had this gamma squeeze slash short squeeze. We've filled this gap and we're now approaching the 50% fib. Now, the lows may very well be in. My only problem with that is next week we've got options expiration with a huge Californian tax deadline here coming up soon on Monday. And Q4 rally doesn't necessarily mean you buy the first day of Q4 right up until this December 31st. Doesn't really work like that. Sometimes these Q4 rallies can actually materialize in November. We're approaching a very key level here on the ES, which is somewhere between 4430 and 4460, and then we're going to decide whether this move is fake or whether it's a genuine move. I'm quite suspicious and suspect of this move. This looks dodgy to me. It looks a little bit too corrective. It's not had a capitulation low. We were so close to the 200. Why did we not take it out? Which means sooner or later we're going to get the answer as we approach this level, either today, tomorrow, or Monday. If this is now another X wave, let's say hypothetically, obviously, you can call that an ABC. We've called this move near perfect. We called for a multi-month correction here, and here we said, right, it's a good area to buy back in. Obviously, now we've had a few more days of price action. I happen to be quite suspect of this move. For what it's worth, I think it's another X wave, and we're going to find out pretty soon. So that might very well be the WX. There's one more low, and this famed, infamous Q4 rally may very well be starting in November, first to second week of November, which basically implies we're going to top out here pretty soon, today, tomorrow, or Monday, and then we're going to sell off another, let's say, 6-7% vertical, and then we're going to have the Q4 rally. We are still secular bullish on this market. That also helps to justify the headline, which is 10% correction, and 10% correction gets in at 413, which also retests some of this pivot level action. So either you're bullish for new highs from here, which is fine, or you're cautiously bullish, which is probably the best course of action, just in case this happens, and then you're bullish. I have no doubt, should this S&P make one more new low in the next couple of weeks, that's going to wipe out every bull from this market, because right now what I'm not liking is too many people calling for a Q4 rally. Also, that even though that is what I thought, and that is what is actually going to happen. The only other thing is we've not quite tested this trend line, and once again, you were so close to this line. Why have we not tested it? We're so close. Also, the 200. I mean, how difficult was it for them just to run the 200? And they've not technically done it on the ES or on the SPY. So cautious here, I think. I think cautious is the best way to be. Let's put that on the daily chart here. So do you see that? Yeah, I mean, we're so close. So we're going to find out pretty soon whether this move is corrective or impulsive. I suppose you could read that as impulsive. I mean, lots of poor lows down here. The market was highly susceptible to a squeeze and we got it. But how many bulls have jumped back in here? Do they really know how to read a chart? Or is there one more surprise? Wipe them out, tag the 200, tag the trend line, 10% correction. Federal Reserve is meeting on the 1st of November, and then bomb Q4 rally, and then that's it. So we're not expecting a crash. We are expecting this market to go higher, but given how difficult, and this market has been very, very difficult to call all the ups and downs, there might still be one more surprise. Let's just leave it at that. But surprise aside, I am still what you would say secular bullish on this market. A, B, C, D, E, and then that's it. It's all over. So it's not quite time to call the big crash just yet. I think we're 18 months to 2 years away. Now, That's that done. Now let's quickly cover the dollar index futures. So dollar, we're very cautious on this move. I called for a dollar collapse from here. To me, that is the start of a new trend. This is counter trend, a B wave, or even worse, a wave 2. I'm secular bullish on the S&P. Eventually it's going to go to 6,000. So therefore, it makes perfect sense for me to be bearish on the dollar. Eventually, this is going to happen. How low it goes, I would say minimum 80. We could easily test 72. Worst case scenario, this is going to collapse off the face of the earth, right? So that's the US dollar. So if you're bearish dollar, obviously you're going to be bullish on risk assets. Now, this is obviously the key level with the key support and resistance level. This is the first part of the S. We're now trying to do a back test, retest. As long as we remain underneath here, then we're bearish. If not, we're going to make one more new high in the US dollar and test this pivot level in here, and then we're going to go lower, right? So either it's already topped, if not, then this, but this high was formed in the RTH and it does have excess. This high was a poor high for those who have taken the masterclass. Eventually though, this dollar is going to fall pretty hard, but like I said, I'm not fully convinced, even though I'm calling for a Q4 rally and we've called this move perfectly. For some reason, I'm very suspect on this move. This particular move in the S&P. I think there's one more shakeout. Next week you have options expiration, end of the month. You've got this tax deadline issue which may get extended. You've got the Fed on the 1st. And it's not like inflation's helping out here. I happen to think inflation is going to go much, much higher. You know, there's a chance this could go to 14%. And this is just a 1-2 or an AB. I don't see inflation going back down to 3%. So right now, what we're doing here, we've had two back-to-back 3.7s. I think we're just basing here. And out of nowhere, next couple of months, early into 24, late 24, whenever, mid 24, this is going to slowly make its move up. I'm not convinced this was the top. I don't think this matters to my overall thesis. You know, the market can go up, and inflation can go up, and yields can go up, and the dollar can go down. So we know all of these things can take place. Usually inflationary bear markets are sideways, as we know from the 40s and from the 70s. And it's not like this is a real impulse, right? We know it's an inflationary bear market. They often go sideways. But, you know, you could argue this is a sideways correction. I mean, it's only going to go up slightly. I mean, the target here is 6,670 in the next couple of years. That's not really a huge move, is it really? I mean, I suppose from current levels it's another 50%, but you know, what I'm trying to say is it's not a large flat pattern. This market is gonna go higher, albeit it's a corrective impulse. So that's probably the most sideways impulse you can get. How about that? Maybe that's the best way to sort of call it. This corrective ending diagonal, it's like the most sideways impulse you can get. So I think the market can go up with interest rates going up, with the 10-year yield going up, and with inflation going up. I don't see inflation going back down to the 3% trough in July. I just don't see that happening. So that's the S&P. Watch out for a trap. Something tells me it's a bit of a trap, and I think there's a lot of bulls in here who have been bulled up from Friday's gamma squeeze, and you know, I get the feeling there's a bit of short covering. Obviously, there's short covering. Shorts are giving up. But at the same time, longs have now jumped in. So how do you wipe them out before a Q4 rally? This, then this. If everyone's talking for a Q4 rally, chances are we get one more new low. Now, Bitcoin, it doesn't look good. So we've been out of this for quite some time. To me, this now wants to go lower. Initially, it was looking impulsive. We were dollar cost averaging into here, thinking it was a 1-2. Now that we've got more price action, this does look corrective, which kind of implies this is a trend. This is now an X wave or a B wave, and then we're going to get one more new low. So we know where the algo target is in the futures. It's roughly 23,470. Which fits alongside this, you know, mythical target of 23,800 on Coinbase. You can also read that as a 1-to-1, assuming that this is the W into here, you know, WXY, and then the 1-to-1 gets you here. So 23 to 23,470. How's that? Basically 23K. Assuming this move continues on going down. into here. Maybe it'll go into a wedge and then we're going to get the move higher. This started off looking like a 1-2-1-2 and now it's just falling apart. So that's my take on Bitcoin. I'm cautious with the S&P. The dollar may make one more new high. And I have a feeling this Q4 rally isn't going to start now until November, even though technically we are massively up from the lows and it was the right thing to do. All I'm saying is try and be cautious there with the S&P. Now let's have a look on Coinbase, see if there's anything else to sort of glean here on the Coinbase chart. Yeah, I mean, you know, you're hard pressed to call that a 1-2-1-2. It's kind of gone too deep, and certainly confirmation of the bearish count would be a break underneath these lows. I think Total Recall tells us the better picture, only because it's never made a new high here, did it? So this hasn't even hit the 1-to-1 yet. So if you're going to look at anything, you may as well look at Total Recall over here, and we're at 958 there. 958 is a 1-to-1 between whatever this is and whatever this is. So if this is a part of a larger, I would say a W into here, X into there, then this implies there's another Y wave going down. Now, are there any blocks down here? No, there's no blocks there. Any daily blocks down here? No, nothing. There's a little cheeky resistance level there. This is awfully corrective. Awfully corrective, this. Once again, we can take the algo target from this move into here. Well, that gets you 942, 958. So with all of this FTX drama, that's enough, I think, to take Bitcoin and crypto market cap in general a little bit lower, run this low and run this low from, let's say, 17th of June, and then get us into an area which we haven't seen since March, which was basically April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So what is that? 7-month low? That would be a 7-month low down here, and then that basically completes the pattern. I mean, how anyone can call this a bull market, I've no idea. Look at how awfully corrective all of this is. This is what I'm saying. The super cycle ended ages ago at 69k. We are dealing with a very long, drawn-out correction here, and it's only because the S&P is in an ending diagonal that we're not at 2k. That's the only reason that the S&P I'm so secular bullish on. So the next 2 years on crypto are going to be very difficult, frankly. But anyway, with all that being said, hopefully we're very close to a move. I mean, we did think it was an ABC going into here, which was a very valid count, 1-2-1-2. I suppose it could still be a 1-2-1-2, but the altcoins are looking awfully weak. And there's too much money going into Tether. And you can see that on the Tether dominance, which is basically inverse to the crypto market cap. And hopefully I can show you that here. 1 divided by US dollar... what is it? US dollar Tether dominance. Have I done that right? Yeah. Okay. So hopefully we get to see this inverse correlation here, which kind of makes sense. I mean, all that is to say, when people are moving into stables, obviously they're coming out of crypto, right? How else are they moving into stables? So to find this correlation really is not, difficult, but it is what it is. There's obviously money moving into stables, increasing the dominance, so the inverse of that is going down, and obviously that's dragging Bitcoin down. So what is the cause? What is the effect? What is the chicken? What is the egg? Doesn't really matter. It's not, overly, I mean, what's interesting is it actually made a new, I find that really interesting there. It was never confirming Bitcoin's high that it made over here. So that's interesting. But then again, this wasn't confirming the high in Bitcoin, right? So, there's many things you got to look at there. There's not really much we can really add to that. But yes, kind of adds to the picture that this market, I think, wants to now make a new low before it goes higher. Now, which is the most important altcoin that might actually do something other than the small punts which we've had here and there? Obviously, this GAI coin hasn't worked out at all. I think staking this was probably a mistake because there's a 30-day lockout period. I mean, it might still turn around here. It's still very, very low supply of this coin. Just a shame that the fundamentals don't really match up. I mean, you could just say that's it, it's all over. Like, that's the 5 waves in. you know, and then that's not a 1-2. That's just an ABC. It's in a very long, complex mess. If not, the bullish count would be something like those 5 waves are just the start of a 1. Then obviously it's going to do this, but you would need Bitcoin to reverse its current trend and then do this. The one thing I will say about GII, however crap the fundamentals are, the supply is very low. That's the one thing I will say. And I'll just leave it at that. The supply is very low. And I've never seen that before. Casper, we're not going to go into here. You'll have to join the group for that. Now, what was it going to cover? Bitcoin dominance. Yeah, this is a very difficult chart to decipher. I don't think it's all that relevant, and so we're not really going to cover it. There's not really much you can say. Oh yeah, that's it. We're going to go on to Solgado over here. So Solgado is on Binance over here. Let's have a look. Yeah. Now, so this looks obviously now more corrective, which is fine, but we did buy this low and this low and this low, right? So who cares if it's corrective? You still made money on the move. Now, what do we think is going to happen here? Well, we think Bitcoin might very well make a new low underneath 25k. So worst case scenario, I mean, you can see how it's holding up pretty well. I mean, I'm not convinced that this is any type of long-term top. This top at 24. I think if eventually we are going to take that down. It's down 14%. Frankly, it's getting quite cheap. It's getting actually time to you know, go into a bit of a bull leg here because it's down 14%. But to call that now 1-2 seems unlikely. There was weakness here. Identified that prior to this move down at 23. Now it's at 21. If this is corrective, then, well, I mean, what is the worst case scenario? Let's assume that this entire move was an X wave going up. Well, did it hit the 50? I believe it did. It hit the 50, it went above the 50, now then it retested on this candle here as a rejection candle, which I noted. Well, there's your algo target, 14.98. I think that would be too many buyers at 14, but that is the algo target. Where's the 1-to-1? 13.26. Where's an absolute minimum you would expect this to come down, assuming that we're now correcting the whole of this move? Probably at least 17. So I think Solgado probably has a little bit lower to go. Bitcoin falling to 23k, 23.8 will obviously help this come down. And it's not really a Bitcoin story, although it is. It's also an altcoin story too. So we have a situation where the USD is getting affected because of Bitcoin, and the altcoins are getting affected because of Bitcoin. Right? So we're losing money twice on the altcoin. We're losing money against the BTC, and as well as that, we're losing money against the USD because of Bitcoin. So it's like an exponential fall in the altcoins. But this kind of carnage is what you usually see prior to a major move up. So obviously this is dragging it down, and then Bitcoin doesn't help. So all of that is to say, if the BTC is falling and the USD is falling because of Bitcoin, the altcoin USD will basically fall exponential, if that makes sense. It will fall double. So this is why it's really affecting Solgado USD. The altcoins do look pretty bad. I'm having a look at Binance Coin. I mean, long-term target was 150 here. It really doesn't look that good. I mean, I can't see anything there. There might be a short-term trade, but that is looking awfully heavy there. You know, we're coming back against this support level, which we've hit a few times, and that is looking very, very weak. I mean, the problem with this trading view is that kind of gives away, it kind of gives everything away. But yes, you know, whilst we're here, we are looking for an entry here. Well, I mean, you know, that is an uber bullish entry, that 119, somewhere around the 120 level. Basically, we're approaching the first entry around the 150 level. We're still at 205, so that's another 25%, if my maths are correct, right? Well, 20%, fine. 2025. So, you know, this is the problem that we have here. The altcoins are bleeding against their BTC, and Bitcoin USD is falling, so the altcoins are moving down in a rather aggressive way. And all that is to say, all the money is going into stable. So not a very good time right now, but I think there's hope. and there's light at the end of the tunnel, assuming the tunnel is a Q4 rally, which I think eventually we are going to get. So short term, there's going to be a bit of volatility here. Anyway, if you want to join the group, you know what to do. Otherwise, just catch me on YouTube. I think crypto market in general looking a bit heavy right now. S&P, we're calling for a Q4 rally. My only problem with this is everyone is now calling for a Q4 rally, which is fine. It's just Q4 rallies don't necessarily have to start at the first day of the first day of October. It can be the case that all of this that we're seeing is just an X wave. If it's an X wave, I think you're going to find out pretty soon. Obviously, then that means one more new low, run the 200, hit the trend line, get somewhere around 4,100 on the S&P, maybe 4,050, somewhere around that kind of region. That'll get people very, very bearish, because a lot of people are still long this market because we're above the 200 and because we're above the rising trend line, technically going back to 2008. So how do you wipe those out? You have to break the trend line. Secular though, from a secular perspective, this S&P still wants to go higher. I think 6,500 next couple of years. It's basically a sideways impulse. So watch out for that CPI as well. My feeling is that continues on going higher now. I don't see the Fed stopping what they're going to do, and I don't see inflation stopping. It might very well base out 3.7 for the rest of the year, but eventually that's going to start creeping up. I think 12 to 14 is a possibility there. So eventually, this is going to cause havoc basically for this S&P. I don't see it going much above 6,500, 7,000. I think 7,000 is not even possible here. So I don't see it as a real impulse. The only count which makes sense is basically an unending diagonal. So lots of things to watch out there for, but I do believe it's the S&P which is the most interesting. Are we already in a Q4 rally, or is there one more trap like this? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. So are we already here, or are we here approaching a near-term top? Vertical rallies, no doubt, for those who recall, this move down wiped everyone out, and then we got the rally. Something to watch out for. Be very careful with the S&P. I think it's approaching a near-term top.